Today, I'm going to share with you a simple storytelling framework that you can use to structure your message in a way that people love to buy. Hi, I'm Devin Rodriguez, and for those of you that are new here, I am the founder of Storypreneur, a company that teaches coaches and business owners how to leverage the art of storytelling to grow their business, sell with ease, and scale fast. So today, I want to share with you a structure that you can use to take the power of a story, turn it into a persuasive mechanism, and to grow your business, because at the end of the day, isn't that what we want? And this structure, it's crazy how sometimes God just speaks to you, isn't it? And for me in my life, that's how a lot of the stuff that I've been able to do, accomplish, or ideas that have come to me just through whispers when I was relaxing, meditating, in the shower, I don't know, on a run. And this is how this structure came to me out of the blue. I'm not going to lie. And it comes down to 3 simple phrases. Number 1, hook 'em. Number 2, shake 'em. Number 3, teach 'em. And we're going to walk step by step through each of those. Now, whenever we think about a story, what do we think? We think beginning, middle, end. How I want you to think about this is hook 'em is the beginning, shake 'em is the middle, and teach 'em is the end. So let's walk through this step by step. The first step is the hook 'em phase. Now, the hook 'em phase is obviously about what? Grabbing their attention, captivating the audience. So now they're paying attention to you. Because what good is sharing your message with the world if you can't even get them to pay attention with you in the first place? So there's a couple of different ways that I'll share with you of how you can hook the audience and grab their attention. One of the most powerful ways, and why so many YouTube creators, or even myself with this very video that you saw at the beginning, I said something along the lines of, in this video, I'm going to share with you blah, 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 blah. Now, what that does is a lot of the times it's a pattern interrupt. Now, what a pattern interrupt is, we have habitual ways of thinking. Without even understanding it, subconsciously, we usually think the same thoughts in the same way, in the same manner, all the time. Now, you might not understand that, you might not think that, but subconsciously, that's how we're wired. Because if we had to always think about what we're thinking about, then we wouldn't have the opportunity to think about the things that are actually important. I hope that makes sense. So, what we do if we want to grab attention is to interrupt that pattern of thinking. One of the best examples I ever saw of this was when I was delivering my TEDx talk. One of the other speakers, she started her presentation like this: "You have a really big butt." And then she paused. Boom. Now, my friend told me that because whenever I was sharing with her a goal that I wanted to accomplish, I would always put in the word but. For example, I really want to accomplish this, but, and then I would give her some excuse. So you see what she did there? She hooked the audience's attention by saying, "You got a really big butt." Now, I'm not saying to use that. Please don't use that. Use your own. But what is a phrase or something that you can say at the beginning of your presentation to hook in the audience? Number 2, a powerful statistic. Number 3, a powerful quote. I love quotes because quotes show the audience that you're well-read. They show the audience that you're different from everybody else. And ultimately, really deep quotes, they touch people's heart. So those are 4 of my favorite ways to hook the audience. Another one is a powerful question. For example, have you ever thought about what those closest to you are going to say about you when you're no longer here? Now it's like, whoa, I never really thought about that. Now, maybe you did. I'm just giving you an example. Like, that's a deep question. And the reason why powerful questions are so important, because it gets people to look somewhere in themselves that they never went or looked by themselves. So you're awakening people to a reality that they might not have even known existed. But also, the power of a question, it's really important. Why? It builds rapport. For example, I could say a question like this: have any of you ever felt like you really wanted to accomplish something but didn't have the resources to do it? Oh, yeah. Have any of you ever wanted to accomplish something huge, but the fear of failure stopped you from accomplishing that? Oh, yeah, I've been there. Now, the thing is we're not actually asking these questions to get an answer, because we already know the answer to that question is yes. Why are we using that question? It's a strategic question, because now we're about to go from, like, in the hook 'em phase. Once we grab their attention, now we transition into a story. So it sounds something like this: have any of you wanted to accomplish something massive, but you allowed the fear of failure to stop you? Can I see a show of hands? Well, I've been there too. So now it's like, oh, this guy that's speaking to me's been there too? He must understand me. So now we transition into the story where we're telling them about the beginnings of the story. Oh, I had this goal. This is what I was doing. We're not diving too deep into the story yet, because every story you share, you first got to give the audience a little bit of context. So in the hook 'em phase, now you're giving them a bit of context. So now we transition into the second phase, which is the shake 'em phase. I love this phase. Why? Because it is all about building trust with the audience. It's about gaining rapport, and ultimately at the end of the day, having them look in the mirror and say, wow, this person understands me. Because when your audience trusts you and they felt like they understood, they will buy from you. It's not necessarily who has the best product or service. It's the person that can share the best story and have the most trust with the client that will get the job, close the sale, and ultimately lead to you changing their life forever. So number 2 is shake 'em phase. What is this? Now you're going from the context of the story. Now you're sharing the details of the story. But here's what's important. In any story, vulnerability is your superpower. So when you're sharing the story, you need to take the audience on an emotional roller coaster. You need to think of it as mountains and valleys, like the mountaintop and the valley. And it's your responsibility to take the audience through the mountaintop, the valley, back up to the mountaintop, down in the valley. You need to share the hard things that you've been through. It was, I think, John Gordon who once said, nobody cares about your successes until they know that you understand their failures. How do people know that you understand their failures? By sharing your own failures and how badly things hurt you and how you felt crushed and you didn't know if you were going to make it. So here's a key tip. Here is a Jedi Ninja Warrior tip about storytelling that will set you apart. When you're in the shake 'em phase and you're diving deep into your story and now you're into the part where you're hurt and you're like, I don't know if I could do it, share your internal conversations. So it would sound something like this. And I was at that moment in my life where I just lost my job. Now, what most people would do is they would just go on to the next thing. I lost my job, so I started to look for a new job. No, we do not do that as professionals. We stay in that moment. And I lost my job. And when I did, I had these thoughts. That voice inside of me was saying, what are you going to do now? How are you going to eat? You have a family to take care of. What are you going to do? I always knew that you wouldn't work out, Devin. So you share the internal conversations that you're having because the audience has probably had similar internal conversations. So now they begin to feel understood. There's that deep sense of rapport that's built by you sharing your inner conversations. Super key point. So the whole point of the shake 'em phase is to go deep into the valley, the mountaintop, back down into the valley. But here's the key. You never end a story in the valley. Why is this? Because your story, people come to you to feel a sense of empowerment. They don't come to you to be left depressed. They want a sense of empowerment. People will only buy when they're in a state of empowerment. So it's okay. You have to bring them down into the valley, but don't leave them there. Leave them on the mountaintop, because when you do, now we transition to phase number 3, which is the teach 'em phase. The teach 'em phase is characterized by this phrase. Oh, this guy understands me and I want him to lead me to where he is. So this is where people come to the realization that you're the guy to lead them there or the girl to lead them there, because they know that you understand them, that you were once in their shoes, and that you're not above them, you're with them, and you're the trusted advisor that can take them to their dream land. So the teach 'em phase is transitioning out of the story. It would sound something like this. And ultimately, I got the job and it was great. And here we go. I learned the lesson that now I'm transitioning from the shake 'em to the teach 'em. It's all about teaching. The first thing you got to do is share about what did you learn. I learned that in life, sometimes things are going to happen that you can't control, but you have to be the one to control the controllables. Come on, everybody, say it with me. Control the controllables. Great. So you're sharing what you learned. Now we transition to what the audience can learn. So here's what I need you all to do today. When you leave here today, I want you to go and write down 5 things that are controllable in your life that you're probably not controlling right now. Now that's the call to action. Now I'm going to bring it back to the lesson, because at the end of the day, life is all about controlling what you can control and letting go of what you can't control. So you see what I did there? I gave a call to action and I shared the lesson. You could do it in reverse order. You could share the lesson and then give the call to action. But those are two key things that every story you share, if you want to grow your business at the rate that you want to, two key things that you must include is number one, the lesson that you learned. Number two, the lesson for the audience. And number three, what do I do next? Give them a call to action so that they can go and sign up for your course, join your mastermind, buy your product, buy your service, do whatever you want them to do. So number one, the first phase is the hook 'em phase. The goal of the hook 'em phase is to have people say, I kind of like this guy, or I kind of like this girl. We transition to the shake 'em phase. This is where things get deep. This is where people, and the goal of this phase is to have people to say to themselves subconsciously, oh, this guy or girl really understands me. They know where I am. So shake 'em phase is all about meeting people where they are. Number three, the teach 'em phase. The goal of this phase is to have people say to themselves, I feel really understood and I want him or her to lead me to my dreamland. So whenever you're structuring your next presentation and you want to sell your product or service, or you just want to inspire and empower, use the hook 'em, shake 'em, and teach 'em framework to go from good in developing your presentation to great.